pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mayor Williams? Here. Commissioner Basom? Here. Commissioner Edelman?
Here.
Commissioner Holloway?
Yes.
Commissioner Mazzola?
Here.
Commissioner Maya? Commissioner Thomas?
Here.
A quorum is present.
On the agenda, I would like to add one new business at the end, or one item onto new business at the end. Discussion of the benefits of the MML membership and renewing that again as of February 1st.
Motion to go with the change of code.
Okay, and is there a second?
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any public comments or questions? All right, standing items. Approval of the commission meeting minutes from November 27th, 2018.
I make a motion to approve the meeting minutes for November 27th, 2018.
I think there was something, there's a word missing. I'll second that, but then we'll discuss, I guess. Under the, let's see, where we're amending it to add Mayor Pro Tem Vladimir Edelman to the bank accounts necessary, the word add is missing there. Like,
Under the agenda approval?
yeah, where we added that item,
To add
the word add is missing.
to the bank account?
I would just put it in, the word add in front of the word Mayor Pro Tem.
I see that ad in front of it already. See in new business or nothing? Oh,
Well, yeah, the item is fine when it's added later on, but,
okay.
yeah, it's right, yeah.
Okay. I
So
see.
motion made by Basin, second by Holloway to add letter C under new business, comma, it should say add Mayor Pro Tem. And then, one thing I guess I would suggest when we make corrections, there's another paragraph down here where I should have printed this off, I guess. Like, for example, understanding items, letter B, it lists all the corrections, but like, when we're, like, maybe just use quotes to say like what we added, because that was really jumbled up and hard to figure out what we're replacing with. So,
So you want quotes where?
like, let's see. Where it says corrections, striking of the word deny in letter A under existing business, and adding, like, what you're adding, put quotes around that, not to renew contract with, like, that language. And then, Commissioner comments. It says add, and then around the and was removed. quotes around that, otherwise the sentences is just hard to figure out
And was removed.
quote around that, yeah.
So we have,
I'll make a motion to approve the commission meeting minutes with the recommendations.
And I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Approval of bills for the month of November 2018 in the amount of $43,684.93.
Motion to pay the bills for the first part of December.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Need a motion to accept the revenue expenditure report for the month of November 2018.
Make a motion to accept the revenue expenditure report for the month of November 2018.
Support.
Any questions or discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And on to the monthly reports. DPW, do you have anything to add, Jamie?
No, thank you, though.
Okay.
Got one. Leaves.
Yeah, no one in there? I think we're wrapped up on the lead. So,
Good deal.
there's a few in the cemetery, we're trying to get the fleet, but as far as residents go, I think we're pretty good.
Esther?
Nothing to add, only to note or highlight some of the things that were included in the city manager's report. New thermostats, so I can easily control the temperature and freeze the ladies out front and while I'm toasty in my office. So far, so good.
Yep, so far we're freezing.
Are those smart ones so that, say someone rents the building on Saturday and the heat gets left turned up maybe, or how, are they not? Okay,
Yeah, I can adjust it with my phone. So.
okay. I was just curious, because that might be,
That was a welcoming addition to City Hall, our facilities, and becoming more energy efficient, so that was great to experience and now have. Also going to highlight that we are continuing to build up our website with forms and things that we feel are good additions for the residents of the city of Stanton, making it a lot better and easier for people to understand what forms they need and for whether it's a fence permit or a sign permit or just a zoning compliance permit. So we'll continue to do that going forward and see what other ways we can make our website user friendly. Also, I highlighted the new lead and copper rules from the Michigan Department for DEQ, rather. Just a preference to, or setting up for Kevin to give a presentation later tonight and talking about what we have to look forward to as a city and some future expenses. So keeping the ball rolling and trying to grasp with the new expenses that we may incur going forward. And also just more and more addressing the blight issue throughout the city of Stanton. So getting rental properties registered and inspected. We have one or two that are still remaining. Also some of the properties that are around town. So we're continuing to keep that ball rolling as well. And slowly but surely, we're seeing a lot more improvement, so. So, yeah. Yeah, there's no shortage of them, so. That's all I have.
Okay. Chief, do you have anything to add?
No, we'll have a report next meeting.
Oh, okay, all right. All right, on to new business. We need to have a consideration by the city commission to excuse the absence of Commissioner Mile from this regular scheduled meeting of the Stanton City Commission held today, December 11th, 2018.
I make a motion to approve his being absent.
Support.
Actually, he passed me now, he's 3-2.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, and now to the presentation of the fiscal year 2017-2018 financial audit report by Ken, I'm probably going to say that, Berthium,
Yes.
of Berthium and Company. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, Your Honorable Mayor Williams, members of the commission, and ladies and gentlemen. I am pleased to have this opportunity to present the audit report for the fiscal year ended June 30, 2018. I'm also happy to report that the audit work again this year went smooth. We encountered no unusual difficulties or differences. Our audit work, among other things, included a review and test of internal control procedures, direct confirmation of all the cash balances, verification of receivables, payables, and other balance sheet accounts, substantiation of various material revenues and expenditures, and related transactions. With our audit work, we ended up recommending 25 adjustment reports. I think that's somewhere in prior years. In our work, we received excellent cooperation and our assistance from the village staff. So, based on our audit work, everything that we did, we were able to render an unmodified opinion here on page 1 and 2 in the audit, the financial statement report you have in front of you. I would just like to briefly run through the report with you and have some highlights here, okay? Starting on page 10. Here you see the statement of net position. Now, this is a condensed snapshot of all of the assets and liabilities that the city had on June 30. It is prepared on a full accrual method of accounting, which means that it includes capital assets and long-term debt. The city reports a good financial condition here. Okay. Unlike other governmental units that you may have heard about in the area or in the state, the city has no pension liability on the books, no defined contribution plan, or defined benefit plan, I should say. And it also has no OPEB plan, which is other post-employment benefits. So that puts you in good shape. So we see no deficits in that situation. Moving to page 13, here you have the governmental funds balance sheets. This is presented on a modified accrual method of accounting, which means basically that it does not include capital assets, nor does it include long-term debt. The focus here is only on current available resources that you operate your budget with. On this basis of accounting, the balance sheet reports no deficits, and it appears to be in good financial condition. We have total fund balances reported here of approximately $1,731,000. Page 15 is a continuation of the governmental funds. Here you see for the year ended June 30, 2018, you see the revenues and expenditures for these funds. The general fund last year had revenues of about $633,000 and expenditures of about $649,000. We ended the year with a fund balance of $673,000 in the general fund. Now, that amount for this city would be considered a good and adequate amount, since when you compare it to the budget that you have for 1 year, its budget looks like it runs about $650,000 to $700,000 per year. So you've got almost 100% of the annual budget already sitting in the fund balance when you start the year. While we're on this subject, it is my understanding that the city recently received another letter from Michigan Department of Treasury where they asked why have your expenditures in the general fund exceeded the revenues for the last 3 years? Okay, I think you called me about that. I think that's been received before, a similar letter. The state is simply taking information they get, running it through a computer and spitting out this letter. They are correct that expenditures have exceeded the revenues for 3 years here on the general fund. And the amount that it's exceeded is $83,000 over that 3-year period. But you still have that sizable fund balance of $673,000. In 2015, your fund balance was $756,000. So it has come down a little bit, but you still have adequate fund balance. So the way to answer that letter would simply say, we are aware of that, that's the way we run it, that's the way we handle our budget, we have the excess funds, no problem. Okay, that's all I have to say. Okay. I head to page 19.
And that's primarily because revenue sharing is down. Or, I mean, is that how I want to say it? The sharing that we get from the state?
Well, the revenue sharing and the revenues that you've got from the state recently, I think, have gone up.
Went back up.
Yeah, we got some different programs that are coming up with different little pots of money to send out. I guess it's up to, when you do your budget, if you have the extra money, you can actually spend more than you take in a given year. It's okay. But it is important, I guess, not to keep letting that fund balance go down. And so you do need to consider that. That's all the state's trying to do, is monitor that and give you kind of a heads up, say, oh yeah, be careful there before it gets out of hand. That you have. Okay. On page 19, here you have the sewer and water funds cash flow statement. It indicates that the funds are generating positive cash flow from its operating activities. Cash flow that is adequate, it appears, to make the payments on the long-term debt. No problem there. And then on page 27, just wanted to point out one thing. In note number 2 there, which is a required note for the financial statement, we have to say here if there were any excess expenditures over budget. The statement that was made here is during the year the city did not incur expenditures that were in excess of the budgeted amounts. That's a good statement. It seems like most of the audits that we do, they'll have some overages, and here it's nice to see where we didn't have any. That's a very good thing. It indicates, I think, good accounting control and budget control. We don't have overages there. It is important when we're talking about budget to continue to monitor that budget every month, really, and throughout the year, through an analysis of your financial statements and reports, and to make those periodic budget amendments when needed during the year. You shouldn't wait till the end of the year to do all that. And really, the state doesn't want you to make budget amendments after year end. They want those done during the year. You know, they want that budget to actually mean something. It's supposed to be a tool for the management of the money. And basically, it is unlawful, according to the state law, unlawful to exceed the budget. So, it is. And then finally, on page 31, note number 6 here, I just wanted to point out how that long-term debt that we talked about for the sewer and water funds, the sewer bonds, you still have $1,220,000 over them. That on page 31. And that's number 6 on that. The sewer still is at $1,220,000. Water, $1,418,000 on the water bonds. The interest rates on those is 2.75, which is very good, especially here now, the rates might be going up a little bit. So you locked in a real good rate. Payments are being made on schedule, no problem. You got the extra cash flow in those water and sewer bonds to take care of that. It's just that you have 35 more years yet. You're going to be in okay shape on that. So, in conclusion, I thank you for this opportunity to work as city auditor again, and I welcome any further comments or questions.
If I may, page 49, there's a statement, and required statement, internal control over
Yes.
financial reporting. And I read through those 2 pages a couple of times,
Yeah.
and just to sum it up, does it tell me that there were no review of internal controls
Oh,
of financial reporting?
no.
Okay.
Let's say that. No.
If you would have to, yeah, I'm sorry, maybe for me, you can
Okay.
simplify what does it say?
Well, we talk about, this is a recorded.
Yeah, they're talking about what definition of deficiencies.
Yeah, you define what a deficiency in internal controls is and so forth. Now, under current audit standards and so forth, you know, auditors, the independence of the auditors is very important.
Mhm.
And that's what this is kind of getting at, is the fact that we as auditors, we have to come in the size of a governmental unit, the auditors end up having to help quite a bit with year-end wrap-up, with those recommended 25 journal entries, for example. And we actually prepare the financial statement, and we audit the financial statement. So we have to be careful to indicate that management has to take responsibility for these statements. We can't just take them and, they're auditors are not, these statements belong to the city. And management is responsible primarily for these. So that's what we're saying here, is that it's considered a material weakness in internal control if the auditor has to do everything. You know, here we're saying, well, we do things, but management takes responsibility, reviews our work, and takes the responsibility. That's how it's presented. And it's not unusual to give this. Most of our clients have to have that statement. It's a required thing.
And the 25 adjusting entries is pretty normal, standard
It's,
type.
it
I mean,
is. It would be good if we could get down to about half of that, you know.
Yeah.
Some of them.
I mean, we're learning as we go.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
with change and, yeah.
Yeah, you know, you've got Lori, who's been here now a couple, two.
Gone through it a
years
couple
at least.
times.
This is my second.
Yeah.
Second,
Mhm.
okay. Well, you're getting your feet on the ground pretty good, and maybe there's more journal entries and things that we've been doing to help, that you can take the lead on,
Mhm.
and that will help. And then we can exercise our independence a little better. Maybe we can say, okay, management is getting it, and they're really more responsible, and then we don't have that issue with independence.
And just to clarify a little bit more, and then as far as the policy and procedures in place for keeping the books, so to speak, it falls under that responsibility of the management, or was there a review of policies, procedures, and how they've been followed as a part of the audit? Or is it outside of scope of the as far as the procedures in place and whether they be followed.
Well, if I understand, I guess, we don't really have any other problems with the current procedures and policies that are being followed, okay, with the way they do things. I mean, you got good internal controls, basically, I mean, you approve bills, and you have a good system, you have good software, you know, you reconcile the accounts. We don't have any problem with the procedures and policies in general.
Oh, very good, but you had a chance to review them to the best of your knowledge, everything's fine?
Everything's fine.
Okay, thank you.
Right.
At least we had experts.
At least we didn't have any report. We can't say that everything's perfect. It's just that we haven't identified anything else.
Oh.
Okay, specifically.
I'm glad to hear it. Thank you.
Good, good. Thank you.
Any questions?
You could restate that the city is in good financial status. You know, I think Brandon may have missed you. Yeah. So he can have a summary to his presentation.
You got that.
You got that, Brandon? All right.
Well, thank you so much for being here.
Okay. I'll get going.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. I don't know if it will be appropriate at this time to ask some questions about the report actually of our city manager that he might be able to clarify.
What's that?
For this, as part of the audit report, do we have any plans of run any sort of facilities assessment or assessment of the assets or for maintenance planning? So we can illustrate what we're looking at to 5 years down the road, because we see depreciation listed here and where that's at. And then, as far as what we plan on maintenance, I know that there are other firms sometimes being employed to review your assets and give you a prediction that 1 year from now, 5 years from now, your certain buildings will need certain improvements and so on, so you can budget properly. Do you have anything like that in place?
Yeah, I think what you're getting at is our capital improvement plan.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we continue to address and retool our capital improvement plan, and so going forward, when we begin to talk about the budget, we will have more discussion about it. Working with our public works is a key component of our capital improvement plan, and also just what I observe and see, or we all discuss about what we see, the needs for the city going forward. And we will continue to address and make that a little bit more robust, so that we are looking at
And
a bigger picture of
the
our.
plan is an internal plan, or is it somebody being asked to do it for us independent?
It's something that we can do internally, and the discussion about the capital improvement plan will be public, for public consumption. It's something we would post, and each year as we go forward, we'll kind of address what our goals are for the next fiscal year, what can we afford to replace or demolish, or, and so forth, and continue to budget, essentially 6 years, 5, 6 years away, so that we can tackle those things that come up, so.
Thank you.
And we're gonna talk about goal setting next week, schedule a date for January.
Call 10.
Goal setting,
Just
yeah.
And then, if, just for clarification, when this financial year ended, you were just coming on, right? Or your business completely?
Yes, but
So
I will take
whatever happens, it's not your fault.
because Ken said it was good, so I'll take that.
If you know the answer, just out of sheer curiosity, under our capital assets not being depreciated and under assets that being depreciated, land improvements listed, do we have, can you tell me what the rule of thumb is for land improvements that fall in the category that's not depreciated versus those that will be?
Well, Ken is still here.
Yeah, I don't know. It's,
Hey.
land improvements are usually depreciated, but
What page is it?
Page 29, the line number 2, under capital assets not being depreciated is land improvements.
yeah,
And then they show up again a little bit lower,
yeah.
regular
Offhand, I don't know what
depreciation.
that is, but we do have a detailed depreciation schedule
Mhm.
for all of those numbers, and we would have the item, date it was acquired, and the cost, what it is, in detail. I don't know,
Because certain land improvement, I just wondered, because
Yeah.
land improvements is very important.
yeah, land improvements, usually land improvements will be things like, it could be parking lots, fencing.
Well, I'm wondering if this is us purchasing the lot over on Second Street, because that seems like that amount,
Yeah,
wasn't it right around there?
that could be something like that.
But then it's not.
That, and that's why it's in that category, it's probably just.
Well, because the land won't depreciate, right?
Right.
The land
But
itself.
land itself is a separate item.
Yeah, right. I'll look into that.
I'm just
and I'll let the
curious,
manager-
when I see something fall into two categories.
Good question, though.
Oh, he's looking up here.
Yeah, you wouldn't normally see that in that category, undepreciated, not depreciated.
Thank you.
Unless it's been totally depreciated, maybe.
No, it's still sitting there, the cost is just, I think, yeah, it's just sitting there, not depreciated.
Thank you.
There's a schedule of, for depreciation on page 25 as well.
But if it falls out of non-depreciated.
Yeah, we say there that they actually are depreciated, so.
But certain land improvements are made
Yeah,
up as.
it may be just the terminology, maybe it's to be different,
All right, so we need consideration by the city commission to approve the fiscal year 2017-2018 financial audit report provided by Perfume and Company of Saginaw, Michigan.
I will make a motion to approve this presented financial audit report.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, and now on to consideration by the city commission to approve the contract renewal. Thank you, Ken.
Good night.
The contract renewal with IT Right for information technology services, hosted server use, and access to Microsoft Office 365 Pro Plus for the total amount of $2,142.40.
Would it be appropriate to ask questions at this time? About the scope of this contract, since how many licenses are we talking? And since I know we have Google accounts, who is using the Microsoft Office 365 Pro account?
4 licenses.
We are.
For so it adds up to about $720 in Microsoft Pro licenses. It's $12 per user for 12 months, 144 multiplied by 4, I believe it's 720. So then we left with about $1,500, $1,400. That what exactly we get for that is so I see there's a hosting server and
Yeah, I had a question about the hosting services. Are they just hosting the email and the Office 365? Or are they hosting some of your data for backups? Or,
They're hosting.
Well,
it
two
doesn't-
questions, you all both asked the question, is it the same that you asked me?
we'll be getting there because basically the question do we have itemized breakdown of how we came up with 2,142 because Microsoft Pro account allows you to 5 installations per user and so on, and if there's only 4 users, then we can do it ourselves for $720.
Well, I have
If I may interject a little bit, I was wondering about what is asked of the city for their email accounts. Is the Microsoft Pro Plus accounts giving us the security and archivability that's required of the email accounts? I think that, and I mentioned to Lester earlier that I think the email accounts, we need to maybe visit and discuss a little bit about how or where they're being housed and how it's being managed.
I don't think you got, is it the same thing? Because the way I read is Microsoft Office is suite for us to use Word, PowerPoint, Excel, and have that updated, you know, the most recent version of Microsoft Office. So it's not pertaining to our email. And also the hosted server is a benefit because we don't have to have the overhead cost to have our server on site. So we're going through IT right, where it's hosted, we can go into it, and it backs up our information for our financial system that we're using with BSNA in that regard. So we don't have that cost, and we don't have to have someone here full-time, you know, addressing or updating our servers.
There are Microsoft email accounts with each of those licenses.
Yeah, we're not using them. We're
And
using
then for each license allows you to install it on 5 devices on PC, plus 5 tablets, plus 5 phones. That's one each of those Pro Plus licenses. So we have 4 people who are using it, and I'm assuming on 20 devices. It just may be something worth exploring, and perhaps asking for bids from other places and see what the needs are. Because the amount just seems to be a little higher than I would, if I had to do it from scratch by myself, it probably would be a little bit less than that, or maybe half.
for a server.
Depending on the usage, most of them, and that's where it would be nice to have the details about what was the usage like, how much did we run out. Most of them now charge you not for having it, but rather the amount of data goes through, or amount of storage, plus a little amount for each time you put something in there now.
I see what you're saying, but I think in terms of the cost for just managing and maintaining the server would be a lot more than $1,600 for a year. But yeah, we can put it out to bid, or we can ask around.
Or perhaps we can, approve it with the idea that by next year, we will have at least 3 bids from other places to see what other offers will be, because it seems like Microsoft Office licenses, that's a simple. We know exactly how much it costs. There's no guessing game. We'll put that. For the cost of the server, perhaps there might be other solutions.
So you're saying that one subscription for the Microsoft Office, we should be able to have 4 different people use on 4 different
It
computers?
installs
Different
you.
devices.
This morning I reviewed it, so one account of Microsoft Office Pro Plus level allows you 5 PCs, plus 5 tablets, plus 5 phones.
But
Or
not
Mac
separate
computers.
logins, like,
That is correct, it's one account, one login.
I think the reason that they're having us with 4 is because each person has a login to it separately, so you know who's doing what.
I think you can, with one license, we can have 5 people have all of their computers with the software to use, and then you could use your Google account with it. It doesn't matter. It's just you can install the software on 5 different devices. And however, 5 phones, 5 tablets, flexible.
So then what is I see the subscription, and then it says above that, the service, 365 Pro Plus hosted services, so is that like saving in the cloud everything that they do on the Office 365 Pro? Like, we're paying $135.60 for the combination of subscription and hosted services, what does that mean?
I'm thinking that the hosted services are what he was saying, that they have a backup for their data.
Well, and
They would host that.
so, and Lori can attest to this, so feel free to speak up. Prior to us contracting with IT Right, if Lori had a document on her computer, no one else in the office could get to it. She would have to email it out. So when we contracted last year with IT Right on the server, now they can all go in and like Rachel can then edit something that Lori's already been working on.
If it's in the share.
As long as it's in the shared location.
We don't need that though, because we're paying, I think, about $50 a year for the Google, like for governments, Google for governments. So it's that higher level of security. It has more Google Drive storage than what your typical just free Google account has. So that was something that, you know, I knew we had paid for hosting it at some point, and we were talking after last meeting about that, like what was this? You can still have those shared folders through your Google account, which is your Stanton Online.
She's stating that we haven't paid anything for Google
Well,
in
the
this past
Station
year.
Online, if that's what she's talking
Oh.
about, that's just Vester and I, that's it.
Yeah,
Nobody
that's
else has
just-
those
you-
accounts.
And perhaps, you know, that's something, because it has that higher level security through Google. It's like a Google account, but then it has all this extra stuff built into it. And I think it was like $50 per account per year.
Yes,
It's a
we pay
government
$100.
account.
That is correct, we do pay
It's
$100.
Google for government, like we have Google for education, Google for businesses, it's Google for government is what we,
And they offer the Office 365 for government also.
Yeah, and the Pro Plus license does come with 1 terabyte for each of the licenses of storage as well, that you can share freely with anybody who has a Microsoft account, and let them access and edit documents together.
And
So-
even with the Google account, you should be able to share documents individually from the account.
well, you have Google Docs too. So is the Office 365 because BSNA software requires the use of the Office programs?
And there was something with that last year.
I believe for
I believe.
Excel,
In order for you to get your report.
to do the
Yeah.
reports,
Mhm.
and also the level of security, you know, that password to get into the BSNA account, you know, has to be at a certain level, so that it cannot be corrupted. So, and that plays a part into IT Right being our servicer and having our server offsite, so that we don't have to, like I said, maintain it and constantly updating the server. So calling someone in to do the work has been very hard to service us for IT issues. You know, we know that if we make a call, it's going to be about $300 per call at a minimum. So it's been a benefit to have IT Right and be able to have them remote into our computer system, assist us, and also now that they're with the county, they're even more available for us to address IT issues or concerns that we may have. So I think there's two different things we were talking about. One is email and one is talking about the level of security that we need for our BSNA software and our financial data.
Even for the email, I think that we may be lacking in what's required for municipality. But I think that maybe we should, instead of, we might want to consider okaying this for now, and then exploring what we should have and try to be as good as we can be, falling under the guidelines that we should be following and keeping the price in mind.
I have just one more question about what it does. You were talking about the shared folder with this hosted services. Is it automatically taking any of your Word, Excel documents and making a copy in the cloud? Or is it something where the usage of the cloud is totally dependent on what you put in it? Is it automatically backed up, or is it dependent on a person to remember to put everything?
No, it's automatic. They, BSN or IT Right does their backups off-site, wherever they're located at, Bath, so.
So like if you create a Word doc, it's automatically going into the cloud?
That's what I
If
understand.
you're logged in the hosted server, yes.
And like really, like Lori, for instance, they all have access to the shared drive, but then Lori's got her own drive, Investor's got his own drive. And instead of it being on the hard drive, it should all be backed up on the cloud. But just not all of Lori's documents are like global access to the city users.
So she's working in the cloud basically. If she wants to document it to her physical hard drive, she would download it from the, okay. Just trying to figure out how it works.
Or she can choose which one she wants and which one she doesn't want up in the cloud.
I would suggest moving towards complete with Office 365. You have OneDrive, you have versioning of the documents. You can trace every change you ever made. All of those saved there. They have a lot more money than any hosting service will ever have, and back it up much better than we can or they can. Because the redundancy is just crazy on that level. So I think we talking about the features, and I understand that customer service is very important, so that might be actually the biggest consideration that we have. But as far as the technical part of it, we already have that, and basically Microsoft Office includes that in the Office license.
So yeah, took me some time to get used to it. My experience was that we had an IT person on staff and our servers were inside City Hall, and so it's been a little bit different adjustment with having a hosted server where, I'm trusting that their servers are working okay and they're doing the proper things that they need to do to make sure that things are kept up to date. So for us, and being a small municipality with budget constraints, this has been a really good feature to have, not only for us, but also with the county coming on board with IT Right, and we use our relay information to the county and back and forth. I think it'll definitely help us with communicating with one another. So we have a few more IT issues that we have to resolve going forward. In terms of moving our routers from the basement to upstairs to improve the connectivity, and I think that we're in a good position, talking with the folks from IT Right and the county, we want to be on the same page and same accord. Going forward, we will continue to review what we're getting offered here and what the type of service that we're seeing. But I think what's proposed tonight, it's not the best that they offer. It's kind of what was we can afford at this point. So going forward, budgeting wise, I'd like to see if we can even make more improvements, and the email issue we will address as well. So that's all I have on this item.
Well, I would move that we accept this proposal, but I would like to maybe form a committee to look into what we could or should do moving forward. It would give us at least some time to operate without interruption.
Technology committee.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Well, and I know one of the big things too is that new printer needs to be networked.
And I got another bill if you want.
Yeah, no, I know you do, I know you do. So, all right, Ray made a motion to approve, with creating a technology committee, or do you want to discuss that more?
I don't want to put restriction on the contract. I just want to say that I think that we should form a committee to investigate what we should or could be doing to be better or to save money or both.
And support from Vlad? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, in consideration by the city commission to accept the proposal from Prime Newhoff to complete a preliminary water service line inventory in accordance with the new MDEQ lead and copper rule LCR for not to exceed the amount of $5,000. Kevin?
All right. Jason Washler, who's my superior, and myself came up and sat down with Jamie and with Fester on November 28th to go over what is all included in the new lead and copper rule for DEQ. It's really kind of three parts. There's the preliminary inventory, which is due by January 1, 2020. There's the verified inventory, which is due by January 1, 2025. And then there's the unfortunate part, which is the actual replacement of any lead or galvanized lines that remain within the city limits. Included in that is also the interesting caveat, which is the replacement of any lead or galvanized lines on public, or excuse me, on private property between the curb stop box and the house. So that's an issue many municipalities are struggling with, is how they are expected to replace lines on private property. The first step of this is the preliminary inventory, which is due a little over a year from now. And what that requires is that the city is to provide MDEQ a list of all water services within the city limits and a educated, I don't want to say guess because it's not the proper word, but an educated assessment of what material each of those services is made out of, both on the private side, from the curb stop box to the house, and on the public side, from the actual water main to the curb stop box. So the proposal that you have in front of you is for that part of it. It's just for the preliminary inventory to be completed before January 1, 2020. What we will do in this proposal is we will provide a generic water service in the GIS software, which we are working with Jamie, the investor, that you guys, once the SAW grant is done here, that will all be turned over to you guys. And in that software package, you will be able to view the service. It'll be generic, it won't necessarily be placed where exactly that water service is, but it will be able to show you what services is made out of both private and public side. And then we can create documents from that sit there and say, all right, we have this many copper services, we have this many lead, we have this many galvanized, and we're going to have to replace this many. And the EQ is going to require a replacement of 5% per year of any lead or what's believed to be lead or believed to be galvanized water services beginning in January or beginning in 2021. So, again, the preliminary inventory is just what's due. This is the first phase of this, and what's due by January 1, 2021.
Was there not another, was there something you guys were already working on about this, or was that sewer, maybe that was the inventory?
The SAW grant
Yeah.
is for stormwater and sanitary sewers. We had done some work with the water system as part of the water asset management plan that was completed right around this time last year. The EQ still has not reviewed that yet, but that only did water mains. It did not deal with the water services themselves.
So how soon do you think you'll get started if this is approved tonight?
We actually have been, I have been emailing Lori rather regularly here the last couple of weeks to get a feel for the amount of services, which we believe is 464. So we already have the amount of water services going. I also have, we we worked to get a download from BSNA that provides an address for all the services within the city. So as soon as if commission is agreeable to this, we will be going out right away as far as starting to get a generic water service place for each residence that has a water service within the city into GIS. So from there, once we get them all entered, becomes the process of assigning a material to them. That's going to be a lot of coordination between myself and Jamie, and some other avenues that we can pursue to try to get input on what the services are believed to be made of. A lot of that's going to be digging through old records, some old plans and as-built. There's some other options as far as doing mailing and having residents take a look and mail it back. It's an option too. Usually get 25% feedback with any sort of a mailing. And then from there, if we don't know, we don't really have a clue, then it's going to be presumed to be lead, presumed to be villains, which would have to be investigated further to be verified in 2020.
Are there testers that will tell you what the pipe is made of?
Not specifically enough right now. You can test a line for like magnetic for locating, but it doesn't provide you with the material.
And our public works, as they change out meters, they have an opportunity to capture even more data and
Yep.
get that number down.
So any meter replacements that are done, obviously Jamie and his staff are, in the basements and can see what the materials, the pipe as it comes through the wall. Another thing we can do is work with local plumbers. Anybody who's been inside any of these businesses, or any of these residences, can also maybe help to shed some light on what that material is believed. So
Does the assessor keep that information? I don't think there's some information about.
I don't believe so. I think they may have more of the external information of the exterior. But I have not heard her mention anything related to lead and copper, but maybe the building department may have some information.
some,
Some.
yeah.
You might want to check with the assessor, but I think there's some information on the cards about.
Yeah. She may have some, I'll ask her, but she has a long list of things that we have her work on. But she's only here 2 hours a week, so. But anything we can do, we will. We're working with Brian Newhoff, and Jamie told me just today, he's been inside of every house here in Stanton. So too much credit, Jamie? He knows where all the shirt boxes are, though. So.
And, Buster, if I may ask, do we know what's the going rate for a service like this? Is 5,000 high, low, is it in line? What's the places of similar size to Robert's paying?
Well, I think unfortunately, with the state of Michigan, what they've done is that, the contractor, they can almost set their prices, but working with Brian Newhoff, I know that they're a good outfit, and they want to work with us because we have a history here, but as far as $5,000 and not to exceed amounts, so if it's less than that, then I think Kevin will report to us, and and can celebrate that we're saving some money, but they have a lot of work that they have to do. Unfortunately, our staff, will be a lot of extra weight on Jamie's shoulders to have him do it. I think he's already had $500 into this now, so going over the next couple of months, we'll definitely be above and beyond. So we appreciate the Brian Newhoff's ability to step in. They're our engineer of record, so we trust that they'll give us a fair shake on the pricing. Unless, Kevin, you want to work that number down some more?
Obviously, a large part of our proposal is the actual entering into the data into GIS and creating a generic water service. There is some money in there on our end as far as the investigation. Any work that the city does for that obviously will come off of our budget. So however much Jamie and his staff want to chew off will only help save some money.
So if we don't see a ton of snow this winter, I'll be sure down at the garage making sure that they get that information entered. So we're all about saving money, and we'll do our best to make sure we can try to achieve some savings.